Hello folks, and welcome to this week's news. Just before I get started, I want to let you know that next Sunday's news video might be a tiny bit late. It might end up coming out on Monday or possibly later in the day on Sunday. Reason being, I'm off on me holes. So this weekend I'm firing up the trusty tour round and taking the family up to Norfolk for the week, up to Hunstanton, which is where I grew up. It is a bit of an epic journey. It says 4 hours 21 there. Last time on the way back it took us 7.5 hours, which is always nice. And I'm just thinking next Saturday, by the time I get back, I might not be in any fit state to record a video. If that's the case, you'll get it a day late. Soz. Okay, so on to the news. BBC News, this one. Electric car rapid charging costs soar, says RAC. Cost of rapidly charging electric cars risen sharply as energy costs soar, the RAC has said. However, electric car charging still remains cheaper than petrol and diesel, of course. Rises in electric and gas prices, in part since Russia's invasion of Ukraine, are behind the increase in charging costs, but fuel prices have gone up more quickly as crude oil suppliers struggle to meet demand. RAC says public charging has increased 21% over the last 9 months. However, the average cost of a litre of petrol has increased 25% since last September and diesel 30%. This month, diesel prices rose to a record of more than £1.80 a litre. RAC have said the most affordable way of charging electric cars from home, where overnight electricity rates can be much lower than their public charger counterparts. According to the AA, some EV car owners use tariffs as low as 4.5p per kilowatt hour during off-peak times when charging at home. If you compare that 4.5p to, I think Tesla just came out and said now they've opened up a portion of their charging network to some other brands to use, 60p at those. So charging from home is by far the best way to do it. Of course, not everyone can do that. And not everyone can afford an electric car in the first place, although there is some good news on that front a bit further along in this video. Police warning after rise in catalytic converter thefts. This is West Midlands Police saying this, but it is rife now everywhere. Basically, a couple of blokes turn up, usually with a van, park next to your car, get an electric saw or an angle grinder out and literally just saw the thing off, chuck it in the back of the van and drive off. They're then either being chopped in because they contain precious metals that are worth a fair bit in scrap, or sold to poor people that have had their catalytic converter stolen. It's not a massive amount you can do about this unless you've got really secure parking. They will go onto people's drives and do it. It's completely shameless. It only takes a minute and they're sort of in and out. British commercial vehicle production rises 27% in its best performing month since April 2016. Output grows 58% for export markets, but declines 1% for domestic. So that's really good. As you can see, overseas exports of these have gone up 58%, which can only be good for the country. And it shows it is still possible to make vehicles in 2022, albeit commercial ones. UK car production, however, is down 11.3% in April. Now over to Auto Express for a few stories here. London Ules expansion on the cards as consultation is launched. Sadiq Khan wants the ultra-low emission zone to cover the entirety of Greater London from 29th of August 2023. Ules is the ultra-low emission zone. I did a video about it quite some time ago, but if your car is not Ules compliant, which means the majority of diesels before 2015 and some petrols, means you have to pay a charge every time you use that car within the Ules zone. The Ules zone in London was originally the same as the congestion charge, so just the kind of really central London area. It then moved out to cover all the streets inside the North and South Circular roads, and if the further planned expansion goes ahead, the AA estimates that around a third of car owners in the newly affected area would be priced off the road. It's a tough one for me. If you create less pollution in cities, it's better for the environment, it's better for everyone's health that's wandering around and breathing all that crap in. However, it means a lot of perfectly good serviceable cars will get scrapped for no good reason, and then new ones have got to be made to replace them. I can't help but think that some of that money that they're collecting from these ultra-low emission zone charges should be used to clean up existing cars, either by doing EV conversions on them cheap, with some kind of grant, or investing in some other kind of technology to just try and clean up the emissions a bit. Obviously there's stuff like AdBlue now to sort of take a bit of the venom out of diesel emissions. Couldn't we do something around that? Is there no way that older vehicle technology can be converted to use something like AdBlue? I don't know, but it seems like it's just, let's take your money, make it really unattractive, make you get rid of your car, rather than Actually, wouldn't it be more environmentally friendly to do something so we can continue to use the cars we have? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But I just think we could possibly be a bit more creative with this kind of stuff. Right, Auto Express again says a new Golf R coming to market, and it's to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the Mark IV Golf R32. And it's going to be the most powerful production Golf ever, with 328 brake horsepower, and will only be available to order for a limited time. Now, despite the fact they're celebrating the old R32, this one's not going to be a 6-cylinder. It's going to be a 4-cylinder, 2-litre, 4-wheel drive, automatic gearbox, and it's going to have something called a motion start system that flares the revs to 2,500 RPM on startup. So as you start it, it's going to go whoa. Which would be exciting, wouldn't it? Volkswagen hasn't released performance figures for the new model, but marginal improvement over the standard car's 4.7 second 0 to 62 time could be expected. New Polestar 3 to debut in October 2022. The upcoming all-electric Polestar 3 performance SUV will be the third car from the brand. So that's the car with camo all over it. There it is with a sheet on it. That's useful. And these are sort of artist impressions of it, so they're going for sort of a coupe crossover SUV kind of thing by the looks of it. You can see the Polestar 2 in it, but it looks like they're sort of veering away slightly from that Volvo design language now. I guess trying to get their own brand identity a little bit. Polestar CEO has also revealed the brand will be forming a global partnership with car rental company 𝘼𝙁𝙁𝙁𝙄𝙇𝙄𝑗 to supply 65,000 cars over the next 5 years. Be interested to see if that causes any sort of further delays for the consumer market, really. Right, this is an interesting one. 2025 Volkswagen ID.1 is Spanish-built £17,000 entry EV. So obviously SEAT is a Spanish brand, and SEAT are owned by Volkswagen VW Audi Group. So I guess they're using the SEAT factory for this. The German car maker gave a hint of what to expect from its most affordable EV with the quirky ID Life concept at last year's Munich Motor Show. New preview image suggests the design team have gone back to the drawing board to give the production version a stronger visual link to the Volkswagen Trinity Saloon, which will go on sale around the same time. So there we go, that's the artist's impression. So it looks like a Baby Coupe Reborn. That's a very, very cool looking car, but we all know that production cars often don't look like the concept or like the sort of artist impressions that much. So it's going to be a Polo-sized EV. It will use a shortened version of the ID.3's platform. It could have 250 miles of range and a 0 to 62 time of less than 7 seconds. Okay, 17 grand, that's going to be a bit of a game changer if so. So although it's a small car, it's not like a VW Up, is it? I mean, you can get a couple of bags in the back of that. It's not too shabby in my eyes. Be interesting to see how that develops and if it actually ends up being that price or not. VW Group has finally settled Dieselgate. We're on Autocar now, by the way, and we were for the last one. They've settled Dieselgate. So they've paid out £193 million, will be divided up amongst 91,000 UK owners of diesel cars equipped with defeat devices, £2,120 each, if that's divided equally. 2025 Mercedes A-Class EV to be a luxurious EQ entry point. Radical MMA platform to provide Mercedes with a true Volkswagen ID.3 rival. Now, obviously in recent weeks we've heard that the German brands are getting rid of their smaller cars. So this is interesting news. I don't know if they're just getting rid of the names and coming out with a smaller EV to replace it. Maybe it's that, but this looks cool. I like this. There's only that one picture of it, but this is thought to be the A-Class replacement that will be an EV. It's got a little bit of a hint of a Porsche Taycan about it, the Taycan Cross Turismo. Like a baby Taycan Cross Turismo in my eyes. So the EQA is going to come with a smaller battery than the largest cars on the platform. However, the substantial increase in power density in conjunction with a greater focus on making the car lightweight and aerodynamic means it will improve on the 264-mile range of the current longest leg version of the EQA. And just continuing on this theme of affordable EVs for a minute, Dacia UK are actually campaigning at the moment to try and get the Spring EV to the UK. Currently, there are no plans to bring it out in the UK, but they're desperate to get it over here. Dacia UK brand director Luke Broad told Autocar, "We're fighting tooth and nail with our corporate team to get that car launched here in the UK. We don't have confirmation on whether it's a go yet because they're working on fulfilling the huge backorder they have in Europe." So the Spring went on sale in France in early 2021. The minimum price of it over there is equivalent to about 10.5 grand here, and that positions it alongside sort of a mid-range Sandero in pricing terms. Spring's a bit shorter than a Sandero, Yeah, Dacia claim it's got room for 4 adults. Boots 300 litres, increasing to 600 litres with the rear seats folded down. Plus there's 23 litres of storage in the front. Dacia obviously are hoping they can sell a cartload of them. Imagine if you could buy a brand new EV over here for 10, 12 grand. Again, could be a game changer. Citroen Ami priced from 7,695 in the UK. So if you haven't seen the Ami, it's this weird little thing. You can get it as a car or, unbelievably, as a little delivery vehicle. It's got 46 miles of range. It only does 28 miles an hour as a top speed. But obviously in the centre of London, for example, you're quite happy if you get to 8 miles an hour occasionally. But you do need a full UK driving licence to drive one of those in a lot of European countries, because technically it's a quadricycle and not a car. In some countries, you can drive those from 14 years old. But over here, you still need your UK driving licence. It's slightly more expensive here than in Europe as well, by the looks of things. Not massively so, but maybe £1,000 more. Sorry, I'm not distracted by that advert at all. Continuing on the theme of slightly quirky cars, the electric Mini Moke rolls off the production line before summer deliveries. First examples of the electric buggy with 89-mile range have completed production, and prices start at 29 grand. What? I can imagine buying one of those if you live on some sort of Caribbean island or something. I don't fancy sort of winter in Barnsley in one of those somehow. But there you go, quirky little thing. Right, folks, I need to ask you a very, very big favour, okay? At the moment, YouTube's not viable for me, and I really need more views and more subscribers in order to make it viable and to get more interest from potential partners or sponsors and that kind of thing. I'm really pushing to try and get to 20,000 subscribers by the end of August, and I need your help to do that. Now, in the last news video, I had lots of views. It's great. Thanks ever so much for watching. 27% of you were subscribed. 72.9% of you weren't. Please subscribe if you haven't already done so, and please give the video a thumbs up, and please follow me on the other types of social media. I've got quite a short window here to try and make this work, and I really can't do it without your support. Any way you can do it is great. If you want to pop onto the website, all my social media links are there. They're linked in every video. I've got something called Linktree, which will take you directly to my Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, my website, everything else. If you are already subscribed but you haven't got the notification bell clicked, please do that, and it will tell you when I release a new video. I'm still a massive hit with the ladies, by the way. I've gone up to 2.8% of female viewers now, and I still remain about as popular as a bag of cold sick with the millennials. So any millennials watching, tell your friends, post it on your Instagram and your Twitter and your Facebook and all that kind of stuff. I really love doing this. I really love making these videos, and I want to continue to do it, but it's really tough. I've got a mortgage and I've got 2 kids, and I'm earning absolutely bugger all from it. And the reality is, you know, I need to sort of make this work, and I'd love it if you could help me to do that. Thanks ever so much. Right, I don't know if you can actually see any of this amongst all the advertising, but this is the Express website, and they've published a piece here based on some information from the RAC. It says just 5% of buyers would now consider a diesel car. Despite the fact that diesel's gone up to a record price, 34% of people have said that actually it's for environmental reasons that they wouldn't buy another diesel rather than anything else. They say in total 90% of car buyers would consider anything other than a diesel powered car, and 66% would never consider buying one ever again. Right, this is from Green Car Reports, and they're saying that EVs might emit more brake dust, which the EU is stepping up to regulate. Euro 7 standards are about to come out, which is a separate point that we'll come onto in a minute, but they're saying that EVs are creating more brake dust, and there's even been a bit of a controversial report to say that they may also boost tyre related particulate emissions because they're heavier. EVs don't use their brakes as much as internal combustion cars thanks to regenerative braking, but that might not be enough to offset the higher weight of EV battery pack. The European Commission has said that it would address particulate emissions from both conventional and electric vehicles alike. This seems like madness to me. We've got so much focus at the moment on getting people to reduce exhaust emissions. Can we not just continue to focus on that until that happens? It's like they're just constantly looking for the next thing to sting people with. And also with Euro 7 coming in, you have to think what that might do to ultra low emission zones all over the world, but particularly thinking about the UK. If you've bought a car now because you know it's Ules compliant, once the next lot of regulations comes in, does that mean that that gets bumped up? Does that mean that the Ules requirements get bumped up in line with that, or eventually they do, meaning your current Ules compliant car becomes non-compliant at some point? And for me right now, I would not consider buying a non-Ules compliant car, because you never know when it's coming to your town or city. So it's quite an interesting piece, that, and it does raise a number of questions. Finally, from Bloomberg, they're saying here basically that the UK car manufacturing industry faces collapse. Jaguar Land Rover looks elsewhere for batteries, and this is part of a wider issue, they're suggesting. So it seems that Jag Land Rover are talking about possibly producing EVs in Slovakia because they're struggling to get batteries built in the UK, essentially. There is a company called British Volt that are planning to build this plant in Blyth, and it's among a handful of startups that have announced plans to build giant battery plants in the UK, but firm orders and manufacturer commitments are lacking. That could be a persistent obstacle, given the industry is mostly home to lower volume, luxury and sports car brands such as McLaren, Bentley, Aston Martin and Lotus. Whilst Nissan, Stellantis and Bentley have committed to making EVs in the UK, analysts have warned that more investment is needed to protect the industry's position, and it needs to grow 45-fold to meet the demands of the industry. So what they're essentially saying here is that if we don't improve our battery production in the UK fairly quickly, for one thing, we're losing out on all those battery sales. They're going elsewhere in the world. And secondly, the car manufacturers might just bugger off to those countries where they are being produced to make life easier for themselves and to keep their costs down. So we drastically need to invest in battery production, is what's being suggested here. Thanks ever so much for watching, folks. As I said, next week's video is very likely to be a bit late. It might be later in the day on Sunday, but more likely it will come out on Monday, but it will be there. And once again, if you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, any of that, please do so. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and give us a thumbs up and share it as far and wide as you can. Thanks ever so much. See you next time.